John have been around for a long time, and I'm sure all you guys, have some tidbit for us. So, it's a sharing experience tonight. So, first of all, I sent this to everybody on the invite. I'm not sure if you guys got it, but it's talking points. Finding good contractors, referrals from your friends and neighbors, family, NICIA meeting. Angie's List is, from what I hear, you have to be qualified to be on Angie's List. My wife works for a small contractor, and they were talking about how they, had to pass some qualifications. I'm not sure what that is, but Craigslist, suppliers like some of the big box stores, you go to the pro desk, and those guys can usually recommend their contractors that they see all the time. The guys that are busy are the good guys, and I'm sure they wouldn't recommend somebody that is a schmuck and you wouldn't want to deal with them. And then there's other professional building supply stores. I can tell you a story about. I actually went to another real estate investing meeting one time, and a guy named Pete Ward was talking about this same subject, and he talked about how he went to a building supply store like he needed plumbing or electrical, and he would go to, in the morning, at 8 o'clock in the morning, he'd have donuts, and guys would come in, the guys that are working that day, contractors would come up and place their orders, and he'd ask them if they wanted a donut. And when he got a donut, he'd get their cards from them. So, he waited for the guys to come and take their orders and then leave, get supplies, and they'd leave. And so then he called 2 or 3 guys, and I probably shouldn't say this in front of you guys, but he called 2 or 3 guys. The first guy to come out to his house, he'd get a quote from this guy, and so he used that as his baseline for his quotes, for doing the work. And then anybody else that came after that, if he was lucky, he might ask 10 guys, and if he was lucky, 2 or 3 might show up. Anybody else that would show up after that was, try to negotiate off the original quote. So I thought it was a pretty sneaky way of doing things, but the idea is that you make your money, besides making your money when you buy the house, it's making your money on how much money you do or don't spend on a house when you're fixing it. Quick story. Second of all, when you're working with anybody, you should clearly define your scope and put it in writing. So if you, I do have a independent contractors agreement. I don't have it with me. I'll locate it and I'll send it to you guys, send it to everybody on the list that signed up tonight. But don't just bring a guy and say, I want you to paint this place, and then if he comes and paints it all white, and you come back later and say, I want you to paint the trim, and I didn't want you to paint that, and don't get paint on the floor. Be very specific about what you want your contractors to do for you. Define the materials. If you expect them to use good paint, specify what paint, what color, where to buy it at. And then, define your schedule and expectations. Considerations when choosing a contractor, ask for references from each of them. I'm not getting any looks yet, so, talk to past customers, and, maybe ask if you can do an inspection of their work. Ask a lot of questions, even though you might think they're stupid questions in your mind, or you might think he thinks you're stupid. It's your money, it's your project, you have that right to ask those questions. Ask him about any training or certifications or professional organizations he belongs to, whether he's, a certified or licensed contractor. Then trust your instinct. Don't always hire the cheapest guy, because, there's a lot of guys out there that got a pickup truck and they say they can do something just to get a job, and then you end up redoing it. That's the worst part. And I've been there and done that. Another thing is, try to get 3 bids, minimum 3 bids, and then understand if you're going to do a fixed price with somebody, the risk is on the contractor if you did your homework right. If you do time and material, the risk is on you, because you're, exposed. You're writing a blank check basically, and then at the end you have to work out the price. It might be more than what you expected or budgeted for. Working with contractors, this is where I'm going to ask you guys' opinion. Usually a contractor will provide a contractor agreement or a proposal. There you go. And I'd like to know what you guys would do for a payment schedule. I've heard that it's not good to give. Well, first of all, I suggest you let your contractor buy the materials. What do you guys suggest as far as working with people, and what do you ask for up front when you're working with people as far as materials and down front money?
Usually half down. Third down and then third upon rough and then third upon final.
Okay.
On bigger jobs, it's exactly what I do. If it's a big project, small, couple $100, repairs, and, I'll usually just pay for the materials and bill you at the end. But bigger projects, that's exactly what I do. A third down, a third after the rough, and then a third upon completion.
Okay.
Same. Thirds. Again, unless it's a bigger project.
All right. Any price or dollar limit, say $1,000 and above, you'd start worrying about?
It just depends on how often you work with people, or if it's first time, yeah, you always got to be a little skeptical.
Okay.
Yeah, but at that point, just like half down. At least cover the material, so you're only out your labor if there's a problem.
Okay. Then you guys have recourse too. If people don't pay you, you can go and get a contractor's lien put on their house.
Right.
Okay. Purchasing materials, like I said, I know, and I'm guilty of this too. I like to buy my own materials, and I think that's, there's a lady out there called Robin Thompson that puts on a pretty good boot camp, and she talks about if you buy the materials, you have somebody do the work for you, and basically they're an employee of yours. And she told a story about how a guy fell off a roof, and a friend of hers was a flipper, and he had a guy working on his roof, and she bought the materials, and he fell off the roof and broke his back, and ended up suing this guy for everything he had. So, you got to consider that. I'm sure, most contractors have their own insurance, but I don't think you guys would really want us to go out and buy our own materials, and it does cause other problems, such as what if you don't buy enough, what if you don't buy the right thing, especially when it comes to plumbing and electrical. I'm not going to go out and buy 20 gauge wire when you need 16 gauge wire, that kind of stuff. So, just word of advice for you. If you are going to specify what kind of materials you want in your house, you can always go to, say, Menards or wherever you like to shop and get the SKU number and the color, and give that information. I've heard some of you guys, Julie.
Well, I was just going to say, I always like getting my own material, because I find that sometimes subcontractors will put on an extra surcharge on top of the price of the material. And so if I buy the materials, then I have the subcontractor put it in, I still ask them for a certificate of insurance. So back to being sued, every guy who works for me, I take a copy of their certificate of insurance. So they're a subcontractor, and they have their own liability insurance. So, but when you do, I do find that sometimes there are surcharges when others pick up the materials for me.
That's part of their business, so if they're going to go buy materials, they're going to put some kind of percentage of profit on it.
Right, but if I'm a rehabber, a flipper, I want to keep it, I want to keep my costs as low as possible.
Right. Okay. So everybody's got their own way of doing things. I'm just throwing some stuff out at you guys.
Can we introduce the family?
It'll take me about 5 minutes to finish this, and then I'll let them introduce. Okay. Permits and proof of insurance. Kind of talked about that. Make sure the contractor understands how to deal with the town, get the correct permits as they apply, and let him go out and get it. I'm sure, I know permits cost, $50 to $100 or something like that, depending on the town you're working in. So you'll add that to the job, but that's the correct way of dealing with the town as you see. There's some things you can do on your own, and some things you probably should get a permit. Okay, access to the house. Here's another one. Good, like your guys' feedback. You leave keys for people if you're not there. What if you can't be there? What do you do? Leave keys for them? You got a lockbox? You have an access with a access code, or what do you guys normally do? Any feedback?
Put like 6 block, key fob, on, give them the code, and you can change it anytime you want to, and anything about it. Tell them this is the number, they can come And 9 o'clock at night, you go to, it make no difference to you. And you never leave a problem. That's the easiest way. They have access anytime they want to do what they gotta do.
Anybody else have any suggestions? No? Okay. Some ways to save money, do it yourself, or, it might take you longer. You buy your own materials and, whether you're skilled or not, you can get it done, but it's gonna take you a lot longer, and I can profess to that. You bear all the risk, but you do save money. There are resale stores out there. I found one in Valpo that sells, cultured marble countertops for like $10, and, if it's talking about if you want to save money on a rental, there's Habitat for Humanity over in Hobart, or Maryville, or where is that? Griffith. And then there's also, you can get paint from a recycling store over in Hobart, the recycling center, and you have people bring in paint. You can buy like, it's just all kinds of paint mixed together, or people just bring in paint that they didn't want to use, and they sell that also, so that's some alternatives. Julie?
I just want to mention Habitat for Humanity. I know somebody volunteers there these days in Griffith, and they are getting a ton of brand new materials from Schillings, because what Schillings used to do is they would put on, they would do a sale once a year and put everything like 75% off their samples, and then their, overstocked. And now instead they get a much better tax write-off if they just give the brand new merchandise to Habitat for Humanity. So they have got so much product. They've got like the Toto toilets that they're selling. Well, those are kind of high, but it's all brand new stuff. And Lease has started bringing in the brand new materials. So this is something new in like the last 6 months, and they are getting truckloads of product, baseboards and trim, like 22 cents a stick for 16-foot long baseboard, pre-pressed stuff. So I've only ever used it for looking for little specific stuff, but now they've got a ton of new product.
Thank you.
They're actually, last week they were just telling them that they had just like a ton, like a whole truckload of brand new cabinets sitting out just to be inventoried. The whole front lot was just full. I was trying to figure out where it was all coming from, but obviously Schilling's garage sale.
Yeah, and the only problem is you only have one type of upper cabinet, because I need a whole kitchen. So they only have like the cabinet that goes over the microwave. Where's that at?
Right next to Menards.
Next to Menards.
Colfax, right on Road Road.
Well, they have lots of tiles, like Home Depot, they have tiles, and they have, I bought enough tiles to do a surround in the bathroom, which normally would be like $125 for the tile alone. It just happened to be a 50% off day, and so I bought really nice, just simple, bright white tile, $5 a box. So, it cost me $30.
All right, other things, drywall, another lady that was in our group, she mentioned US Gypsum in East Chicago. I don't know if anybody's had any luck or worked with them before, but that's where they make drywall at. Drywall is basically, byproduct of the steel mills, material that goes into drywall. Carpet, there's a couple of carpet warehouses. One of our advertisers, I believe, is direct from the factory, wholesaler for carpet, Sean Finnegan. But there's another carpet warehouse on right off of 30, just east of the mall.
Carpet liquidator.
Yeah.
They're right next to Bowden now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're right over there.
And you kind of get what you get in there, but they have pretty good prices. You might not be able to do a whole house with one color, but I've bought stuff from those before. And then if you want to save some money, there's on eBay, John's turned me on to this, Lowe's 10% discount card, which you could use at all big box stores. You can buy those for like $7 for 10% discount cards, and you spend $70 and it pays for the whole lot. You buy a couple $1,000 worth of stuff from any of the discount stores, and Menards accept that.
We Yeah, they'll honor the 10% discount.
You get that on eBay?
10% discount here? I'm sorry, I wasn't.
You go to eBay, you can buy 10% discount cards. Lowell's 10% discount on Home Depot's got them too. You can take them to any of the other, big box stores and they'll honor them 10% off your purchases.
Remember that?
I appreciate Larry from Menards is here tonight, so I appreciate that. I know they have some pretty good programs. They have the Menards contractor program. At the end of the year, you get rebates on your purchases. And they also have rebate sales, 11% off, 11% rebates, and you get store credits. It's about 4 times a year, about every 3 months, the way I figure it. They're unannounced, but it's a great time to stock. Yes, sir.
Now, what was the name of that granite store in Valpo?
Sorry?
You mentioned a place where you can get granite tops in Valpo, Valparaiso?
Resale.
You said
The resale
Resale
in
store.
Valpo.
Oh, the culture marble. It's on Axe Avenue. Yeah, it's really, it's right off of US 30. You know where the 2 bridges are that cross US 30, the overpasses? Right before you get to the university going east? You know where that,
Beanie Cycle, I think it's right there.
what's the,
Century Pipe.
chassis classy or something like that?
Chassis.
It's, you can't get to it going east, but you can get to it from coming from the east. If you look up, this is how I find it, there's a brand new cell tower right there, and it's right over there. It's, I don't know, it's like a men's shelter, and they have a store that supports, guys that are in, they need help, so they have resale, they have, a lot of stuff, they have appliances, they have all kinds of stuff in there.
Does the store have a name?
I'll get it for you. I don't have the name handy. I know I gave it to Alicia. I'm not sure if you have it with you.
I don't think I have it with me.
It's like New Hope. They get stuff all the time, like furniture, all kinds of stuff.
I think it's called Living Hope. I think it's called Living Hope Men's Shelter, yeah.
Sometimes they have appliances, refrigerators. They're actually gonna move behind Burger King off of First Prairie Drive pretty soon. Just go ahead and throw it out there. One more thing, like Menards too, I hate to keep, pushing them. I like Menards. They have a lot of sales. You gotta watch your stuff. Like, I've walked through the store before and Don turned me on to this. You go to the back of the paint department, they don't have like paint. It's $11 with a $10 rebate. So you buy, unlimited amount of paint and you get your $10 rebate store credits, and it's just a great way to spend money, not spend money or save money. So, so tonight what we're going to talk about is determining what to spend on your house, what's your exit strategy, buy and hold or fix and sell. And we're going to ask, what would you do, what would you not do, as far as carpeting, carpets, cabinets, bathtubs, faucets, water heaters, furnaces, what would you focus on, kitchens and bathrooms, carpets, landscaping, and so let me introduce, that's all I have to say. Let me introduce our panel, if you guys don't mind getting up and introducing yourselves. I'd appreciate a little bit of introduction of yourself.
Starts. My name's Larry Coyne. I work for Menards. I'm in the commercial contractors end of it, as we were talking. I work hand in hand with the local contractors when they're doing projects for different people. This is a free service through Menards that you can sign up for. If you're a flipper or anything, there's some benefits. It's a 1% rebate at the end of the year if you spend on average $500 a month, which equates to $6,000 a year. And they prorate that whenever you enter into the program. So if you entered in July, it would be a $3,000 to qualify. Some of the benefits are if you spend $2,000 on an order, it's a free delivery within a 15-mile radius of our store. And those are some of the things. We were talking about whether you buy your materials or let a contractor. We deal with both homeowners and contractors. Most homeowners want a hands-off type operation where they don't mind if the contractor supplies the materials. They know that they're probably going to get a little bit of an upcharge, but they like to step back and say, you handle it type thing. The sophisticated flipper, like the young lady back here, can save money by doing a lot of that work and then getting a better deal from the contractors. So contractors typically will work both ways. They like the luxury of maybe supplying so they can get a little bit of a surcharge. But there's a lot of different ways of making money, as Mike mentioned, watching the sales, watching closeouts, watching our 11% rebates. It all adds up, and we try to work with you hand in hand in accomplishing that, because we know you're out there making money, or trying to make money, I should say. That's the other thing is Menards does not do any installations. We work just with contractors. We have a sign-up board. If they've signed up for this free service, we support them and we recommend people. If we get a complaint about a particular contractor, then they are pulled from our board. So we try to represent just people who are qualified, who have really no complaints against them, and our people who we would want to do our own projects. Basically, that's it.
I'm David Kelder with Kelder Electric. I also do electrical work for Rehabbing and Construction and service doctor. I specialize in turn-ons. Most of you landlords like to do a lot of work yourself, so I'll go in and get the service done, knocked out for you. Or I'd go in there and advise you, hey, you don't need to change this, we still got good stuff here. So basically that's my specialty is to save you money. And I'm pretty affordable. I'm doing work for Milt, do work for Joe, Dave over here, and I did some for Helen here. But yeah, I try to save you guys money, and then my name gets passed around a lot. I even did work for Menards over here. Changed all their lights.
Are you in Lake or Porter?
I'm all Lake and Porter.
You're both?
Yes.
I have a question for you. You say turnover, what does that mean?
Well, I do a lot of work in Gary. I can get in and out of Gary. I'm pretty good with the inspectors out there.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you can make sure that the power is on.
I can get your
that
power
pole
on.
To that brick. Okay,
Get
I
your
got
power
you.
on, and if you guys like to save money and do the work inside yourself, I'll go back and check your work and make sure everything's good.
I see.
And get your final inspection and all that.
All right, I like it.
Okay. All right, sure. My name is Danny Gronendijk. I'm with Gronendijk Plumbing, and basically I take care of all service work and new construction, remodeling, pretty much all of it, all of Lake and Porter County. So I've been doing business in here for probably around 5 or 6 people in this room right now. And, if you want any references, I'd point you to the people that I've been doing work for. Any other questions, just feel free to ask. No, I don't quite understand why I'm not on this
Yeah, I was
list.
gonna ask.
Yeah, what's your last name, Jamie?
Didn't pay enough.
Gronendijk, that was it, my check bounced, that's what it was. Gronendijk, Gronendyke. My name is Danny.
You couldn't spell it.
Sure, that was it. My number is 488-7711.
We'll get it, we gotta get that fixed.
Thank you. Maybe I angered you or something.
My name is Gary Lebarsky. I own GBL Construction. I've been a general contractor remodeler now for just about 30 years. There's pretty much not too much stuff that my company just doesn't do. And currently I'm going to be one of the maintenance leaders here for Brookstone. So, it's from floors and up, and we do from anything.
Jerry, what's your last name?
Lebarsky. It's it's not on the list. It's just my first time here.
I'll get everybody's name out to you guys.
Oh,
So you're
GC?
Yeah. Yes.
Interior and?
Interior and exterior.
GC Construction?
No, GBL
Okay.
Construction. But I am a GC.
Okay. General contractor.
This guy?
Yes.
What's your name?
Oh, David Kelder. Counter. I'm the second.
Okay, so, what's your phone number?
It's for, it's
It's
good
on the,
to
it's on the list.
Oh, no, mine is 746-1548 is my cell. Yes.
Out of curiosity, I was wondering, have you taken on any apprentices lately?
I've got 3 guys that work for me full-time, and I've got extras when I need. But no, I don't do apprentices.
Okay, this part is kind of, I'm trying to get my hands around how to do this. So I do have, John went out and took pictures of a couple houses, and what I'd like to do is maybe go through those things, and then I was thinking of asking each of these guys, you know, their area expertise, and then just, you know, open this up to discussion. Once again, we're looking for whether we're renting a house, you know, we're buying it to rent it, and get somebody in there and get some cash flow and not, you know, put too much money in it. A lot of those houses, you know, the times you can find them where it might be a clean up and paint type thing. But if you're fixing and flipping, you know, most people, in my opinion, go and remodel the house because they, you know, think somebody wants to walk in and see, you know, something a lot nicer than what else is out there. I guess that's, you know, the philosophy behind it, and that's my philosophy. So we have 2 examples. Not even sure where these houses are. I do know where they're at, but I saw one the other day. It's kind of funny, but we'll go through this stuff and just kind of, you know, it's nothing you guys haven't seen before, but it'll be, you know, typical of what you see out there, and then we'll go through the pictures and let's see how that kind of works out. But then, you know, I'll ask Dave like some specific questions, like, you know, what point do you change the electrical out? What point do you rewire a house? And, you know, what are the standards for GFIs and, you know, receptacles and things like that. And we'll do the same thing with Danny, and then we'll let Gary talk about what he recommends as far as what nice things to put into a house, and we'll also work with Larry about his suggestions about kitchens and doors, and, you know, how do you spruce up a house. It's all, you know, all about appeal. When somebody walks in the door, what do they see? So let's kind of walk through this thing and see how it shakes out, and I want you guys to provide some input. And, you know, these guys, of course, gonna give us their opinion. So I did send you guys, in the invite, I did put a spreadsheet together for estimating. If you didn't get it, let me know, and I'll send it to you. And it should be pretty handy. It's based on, you know, either linear feet or square feet, and you should be able to go through a house. And another thing I wanted to point out, and I don't mean to hog this conversation, but, you know, I spent a lot of time with a couple of realtors in here, and we'll go out and look at houses, and, you know, I'll ask, you know, John, for instance, I'll say, John, what do you know, gut feeling, they've been doing this stuff for 20, 30 years. What's it gonna cost to fix this house, you know, for fix and flip? And John can pretty much come up with a pretty decent number. You know, he's pretty close to what, you know, if you did a typical thing. So that's something you ought to consider. I don't know if it works out to $20 a square foot. You know, it might be a ballpark figure to look at, but, you know, if you walk into a house, what's $5,000 gonna get you? Not much. What's $10,000 gonna get you? What's $20 gonna get you? What's $30,000 gonna get you for fixing a house? So think in terms, you know, you don't necessarily have to go through a detailed spreadsheet to figure out exactly what you're gonna put into a house. You can kind of run numbers through your head, or, you know, come up with a ballpark figure when you're looking at a house, and you can easily, you know, go look at a bunch of houses real quick and, you know, say, well, that one's $50,000 and I don't have $50,000 to put out for that, and, you know, what am I making out of $10,000? You know, you can do the math really quick and kind of, you know, help your buying experience go quicker. So I'm gonna run through the pictures now, and then we'll start asking questions. I'm trying to get this done quick so I can finish it quicker. So, yeah. Thank you. Typical water heater. Hey, Danny, what do you think? At what point should we fix a water heater, replace a water heater, or when do we know a water heater is bad? And what do you suggest if we're renting versus flipping?
Well, one problem with water heaters is it's hard to tell how old they are. You know, I mean, sometimes you can see, look at a water heater and go, that thing is, you know, been around for a long time. Some of them, you know, they look newer. To me, if it looks new, and it's not leaking, I'd say don't replace it, just, keep it. A couple things to look for though that are problematic is the shut-off valves on the cold water side. If it's a crank type one, those are problematic. You won't get a positive shut-off most of the time on those. If it's a ball valve with a lever on it, those are good. Whenever I change out water heaters, if it's got an old crank gate valve is what it is, I always change it to a ball valve, so there's a good positive, and they last forever, ball valves. Other things to look for is make sure the venting is good, and one way you can check it, if you ever wanted to check venting on a water heater, is take a light piece of paper, blow it out, you got smoke, put it really close to the edge of that piece that's right out, the hood right up there on top of the water heater, and you'll see it will draw the smoke from outside of that ring. It'll draw it in and up. That tells you your flue is working really well. So that's the way that we test them once I install a water heater, I always test the flue to make sure it's working. Gas lines, looks like that one from my angle. No, it doesn't. It's something else. I've seen recently a couple where there's a flex connector for the gas line. Not that it's against the code, but it's not a good safe practice. So, and usually that means it was a homeowner that changed the water heater and they don't know how to thread pipe and to do it. But it should be hard piped right to the water heater as a safety precaution.
Are there good water heaters and bad water heaters, or better quality versus?
There are, but generally you pay for them. I mean, it's almost like anything else in life. You want to go spend $800 on a water heater, it's generally a better water heater. Myself, I'm not a water heater snob. I go with the lower price. Actually, Richmond, I just put one in yesterday. I put one in yesterday for David from Menards, because they're made by Rheem, which is a good manufacturer. So I say save the money myself. I'm not spending $800 on a water heater. So
if I could, you were questioning the age. As an appraiser, I look at them all the time, but also they all put a code, a year of the code on it. There's going to be a tag, and within a year or so, that's going to be the age of your water heater. Very few put a manufacturer year on, but there's if you look at the tag, there's going to be a year from it was built to this code year. So that will tell you within a year or so, usually, the age of the water heater. Because they change those codes, 30 years of appraising, they just, every year or two, codes are changing. So that will tell you within a year or two, usually, the age of the water heater.
And I got a couple of things to add too. If you're dealing with water heaters, remember when I had the water heater polished in Whirlpool?
Yeah.
Whirlpool had a water heater about 6-7 years ago that was a lot of problems with. The threads the thermocouple went bad, threads were reversed. We'd wait a week and a half for parts to fix a water heater that was under a guarantee. I think I had 8 of them go bad in 3 years, and I ended up paying out of my pocket to replace most of those water heaters. So if you're buying a house that has a water heater from around the year 2000, it's a Whirlpool, be aware you may have some problems with that. The other thing too is you're keeping those houses. I change my water heaters out, no matter if they need them or not, between 12 and 15 years if they're sitting in the living level of the house. If you have a crawl space or a slab, that water heater breaks at 9 in the morning and they don't get home till 10 at night, it's a bad break, you're going to wish you had changed it out sooner. If it's in a basement and it's got a drain, it's no big deal. But if it's going to cause me carpet and drywall damage as a rental, I get rid of it 12 to 15 years. Need it or not. Just wait till they're on sale.
I want to follow up on that comment too. I built Brookstone, 3-story buildings. A.O. Smith, probably, if they're not the biggest water manufacturer in the country, they're certainly one of the big ones. They manufacture state brand, American brand, A.O. Smith brand. There's probably a couple others. You probably know more about those brands than I do. They're a good water heater. Federal government mandated changes to water heaters, I believe in 2006, wasn't it? Somewhere around that neighborhood.
Yep.
A.O. Smith, and I'll bet you, well, you just said Whirlpool, had the same problems. Good old federal government gets involved, take a simple machine and make it complicated. The problem A.O. Smith had was that they went to electronic ignition, basically is what happened. They forced them to go to get away from the standing pilot to save gas, I guess, and also to get away from danger of explosions and so forth. In trying to meet these government standards, A.O. Smith put the thermocouple in the bottom of the tank next to the fire chamber. And they got the thermocouples overheated, and then also they put screening underneath the water tank to allow air to get up in there. Well, at least in a condo, which is, you'd have one on the first floor, second floor, third floor, dust balls get under there, and the next thing you know, the screen is clogged solid. Then it overheats the whole thing, and it ruined the thermocouple, and the thing shuts down. They had such a massive problem, they had a recall. They would actually, this was back in, I got involved in 06, 07, they'd send you the whole kit to replace it for free, or you could go over to Lowe's, I know, had the kits for free. You could pick them up and put them in. I'd probably replace 10 or 12 of them. Now you got to buy the kit, or you buy the thermocouple. But it took them 2-3 years to work out of that problem, and I've even had some of the newer water heaters go bad too. The thermocouple goes bad, you got to replace the thermocouple. You've got to keep that screen underneath there lint-free, because if that screen gets clogged, it overheats and causes a problem. So, it's kind of a horror story about A.O. Smith, but it sounded like...
I've got dozens of water heaters, and the Richmonds give me no problems. Whirlpool, I was ready to shoot somebody. We literally had people without heat for hot water for a week, week and a half. I'm sending them gift cards. I'm sending my people to dinner, trying to keep my tenants happy, and it was all because Whirlpool was sending me stuff that they said would work, and it doesn't work, and my plumber's going nuts at the time, and it was terrible. The Reams, the Whirlpool, the Richmonds, I've had no trouble with. Excuse me.
I have a home that has a water heater in the cabinet along with the sink and the dishwasher and so forth and so on. Are you familiar with those water heaters?
Oh, it's under
the cabinet.
Yes. They make instant, and they make a small tank, like a 2-gallon tank.
Okay, what is your experience with those in terms of reliability, quality, and so forth?
So far, I've not had any problems with them. I know to install them sometimes it's a little tricky because most of them will require 220. That would be
Yeah, the smaller ones are usually 110.
or 110. So I don't have a problem with them. I haven't had to do very much service on them. I'd say that I've installed them. I haven't had any callbacks or any service problems on them.
And how much do you charge on average to change out a 40-gallon hot water heater?
40-gallon water heater, it's kind of hard to give an exact, but you wanted an average, so I would say on average $250. That's a standard change out. I mean, if it's something that's in a crawl space, I just saw one the other day that I hope they never call me for. Because gravy, I was in this crawl space and I thought, how did they get this down in here and then pipe it? You know, it's just, it was in the worst position I've ever seen in my life. So
$250 to install, and then about $350 to purchase.
yeah, it was about $350 to I think it was $352 with tax, and that was with a couple fittings. And generally, there's some miscellaneous to the valve and the dielectric unions. So that material will come to around $35 for a little bit of miscellaneous piping and stuff. So you're looking at probably about 300 plus. So you're looking at just over 600 for a 40-gallon water heater. That's the heater and the materials and the install.
Is it true that every couple of months you should bleed off your gas water heater at the bottom there, where the valve is that cock at the bottom?
I've heard every 6 months, but if you wanted to do it every month, it wouldn't
And that's
hurt.
because, well, why is it good?
You get sediment that sits at the bottom of the tank, and by flushing it out, you're flushing out that sediment. That sediment just allows it to sit there, it builds up, and the burner has to cook a lot harder to heat up the water, and that sediment is what will rust out that tank.
If you haven't done it for 3 years, should you mess with it?
I don't know, that's a good question. You know, I would say it wouldn't hurt to. It may not flush out because it may be, beyond, caked up.
We'll clog that pipe going down.
Yeah.
How much do you say replacing a tankless water heater?
A tankless water here, those run a little bit more. I just did one of those a week ago today. It was a Richmond, high efficiency. Those generally, labor-wise, you're looking at about $500. They're a little more expensive. There's more work involved with doing them. I know that this one was a high efficiency, so it was 3-inch PVC, which is not expensive nor difficult to deal with. But the heater itself was, I think, $1,200, and that was on sale. I think it was $1,300 off sale. But you know, the lower cost ones you may get for $700, $800, $900. Well, the venting on those is expensive. The vent pipe, it's a special stainless steel venting. So, you know, in my opinion, you're going to pay the same. And this is actually what this customer did. He bought it from Lowe's. And then he found out he was going to have to spend extra on that venting. He took it back and went to Menards and picked up the high efficiency one, which does like 2 to 3 bathrooms is what it's recommended for. So, but yeah, there's generally a little bit more work involved with those. So that's why the amount was more in the labor.
Hey, Danny, let's stay on plumbing. As far as copper pipes, or what do you see in houses? And you know, you go to Hammond, you see galvanized. Newer houses are copper. I fixed a house that had a well, and all the copper had tarnish all over it. And I was kind of concerned about that. Whether it seemed like it was okay, but it was hard to work on. And
copper is the elite. I mean, that's the gold standard. You know, you can hardly go wrong. I mean, it fails occasionally, but generally that's the way to go. Now, when you're rehabbing homes, it all depends what area you're in. I know that there's some homes that I've been to in Hammond, and one in Gary that it sat empty. Somebody broke in, stole all the copper. So whenever this one in Hammond I just redid, put in 3 water heaters. It was like a 3-flat thing. Put in 3 water heaters, and I recommended it all in PEX to do it, because he wasn't going to have it occupied for a while. So I did that one all in PEX. I really don't like PEX as much. Copper is the way to go. But if you're in fear that somebody's going to break in and steal it before the project's done, you almost want to consider PEX, because they don't steal PEX.
The funny thing is, actually, I looked at a couple of houses for one gal I do a lot of work with, and they're both over in Porter County, and both houses are on crawl spaces. When I crawled underneath her to look for her before she bought the house, both houses were completely stripped of copper. So I had no idea.
And the wonderful thing about PEX is if they turn the heat off, when PEX freezes, it gives. It doesn't split like copper.
It has a lot more flexibility. It expands.
PEX is cool.
How much more expensive though than copper?
It's it's like heavy-duty garden hose. You pay $3, $4 for the fittings, the 45s, the 90s and stuff. And they even have fittings in plastic. So, and they're even cheaper than metal. But it's like heavy-duty garden hose. Blue for cold and red for hot. And it's the way to go.
I defer. The color of the pipe doesn't matter. You do it red for hot and blue for cold, just for visual reference of what's what. But you look at copper, the copper's all the same color, so it doesn't matter. I mean, if you had a whole bunch of blue, you can run both lines in blue. It doesn't really matter. The fittings can be more expensive. Even the plastic ones, they're cheaper than the brass fittings. But that was the thing. The pipe on PEX is cheap. The fittings cost more. It's a little bit of a trade-off. I think when it's all said and done, it's almost a wash, because the fittings with the copper fittings aren't as expensive as the PEX fittings. So it really all depends where it's going in at and how long it will be vacant before you actually have people in there.
When you're replacing faucets, like a shower faucet or a bathtub faucet or a kitchen faucet, bathroom faucet, and maybe this is for Larry too, there's a bunch of Chinese stuff out there, and then there's Delta's American made, I don't know if they're made with, Mexican parts or whatever, but Peerless is out there, any you recommend that, you like and some that you don't like that you have experience with?
Delta's my favorite faucets to put in. I like putting in Delta faucets. And then Delta has low-end stuff as well, and it's not, I put in a Delta today, and it had some cheaper material as far as like the part that, hooks for the drain, the pop-up assembly, plastic, and I don't like those, but Delta is always a safe bet.
They're easy to rebuild and fix, aren't they? That's why you like them, right?
They're easier to service.
So, that's, yeah.
Right.
How about like commercial and like Peerless? I went to some home supply house, they had Peerless over there, and they looked like very nondescript, but they're kind of basic stuff you see in schools and stuff like that, more commercial. Right. They were made in China, but they were priced pretty decently.
Right. I put in a toilet today, it was made in Vietnam. I was kind of surprised when I saw it in the box. It was a Toto, you mentioned Toto. I put in a Toto toilet today and it said it was made in Vietnam. Toto toilets are the best, by the way, if anybody wants a really good flushing toilet.
Okay.
Which one?
It's Toto, just like the little dog in Kansas.
Really?
Yeah. No, they generally have a 3 or 4 inch flapper valve, which is really one reason that it flushes so well. It's not a power flush, it's not gonna, but the way it's designed, it takes everything down. You can just about throw away a plunger with a Toto.
Are you getting it like at a plumbing supply, so
Yes,
like Leaps?
exactly.
That's
That's where I got it today, was at Leaps.
And, but I'm telling you, at the Habitat for Humanity, they must have gotten in 20 Toto toilets.
Wow. Dan's on his way over.
One more thing, Danny, how about drainage lines? If it's, most of the old houses are cast iron.
And galvanized, cast iron and galvanized, and those are horrible. I'm all the time replacing kitchen sink lines, things like that with PVC. PVC is the way to go.
Can I ask a question on that, Danny?
Yes, sir.
Building multifamily, sound control is a big issue, and plumbing drain lines are a major culprit of sound noise in apartments and so on.
Right.
What recommendations would you have for quieting flushing noises and drain noises on particularly the plastic?
Right. Well, I would say that you could either insulate the cavity. If you have a wet wall between the two, I would insulate that cavity, that wall, or you can insulate the pipe itself. The quietest pipe is going to be cast iron. That was one of the benefits of cast iron. But you're right, PVC, you hear a lot more of the water. I would say either insulate that cavity or insulate the pipe itself.
What's the relative price difference between cast iron and PVC?
PVC is probably 7 or 8 times cheaper, if not even more. I don't buy a lot of cast iron. I don't buy any cast iron. I replace cast iron, with PVC. So I couldn't give you an exact, but I know I've had to buy a stick of cast iron before, and I was amazed at how much it cost. So it's definitely cheaper to buy the PVC. A lot cheaper.
If somebody's buying a house for renting, you kind of got a model that if it ain't broke, don't fix it type situation, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there, I noticed that PVC that comes in different colors, does that indicate anything, or is it something that might be 10 years old, it's black, and newer pipes?
Oh, the black is ABS pipe.
Okay.
And that's a little bit older. You don't see that sold very much these days, if at all. PVC replaced ABS. That's a similar product. ABS will actually sustain flame in a fire, and PVC won't. PVC will melt, but it won't sustain flame. So that's one of the big differences there.
Why did they discontinue it?
I don't know, and I don't know that it's really discontinued. I know that they still use it like in mobile homes and stuff. And whenever I have to go and do work in a mobile home, there's usually ABS. So I think they just came out with a better product, and that just took over, and that's why PVC is really the most popular.
Is there some PVC that you shouldn't use with the hot water line? I thought there was some different.
No, as far as drainage, are you talking about water supply?
Water supply.
Water supply. I wouldn't use PVC at all for water supply. I mean, you can, they make it for it. I think that the only time you gotta get into that is if you're in like a commercial kitchen and they have 180-degree water for the dishwasher and things like that. But in regular hot water situations, regular PVC is okay.
Anybody have any other questions about plumbing? I think I don't know how much more we could touch on that.
You flushed it out?
Yeah. You went in. Yeah.
I moved away from the leaky pipe one.
I don't know if I need to show pictures. Let's talk to David about electrical. As far as replacing fuse boxes, wiring, things like that, can you give us a little spiel on that?
If you have Edison breakers or fuses, you need to replace those. Those are the screw-in fuses.
All right.
Like your wire inside your pipes, if it's the old felt wire, that stuff, once you move it once, it's gonna fray and break and brittle, and it'll cause fires. Aluminum wire, if you have aluminum wire from your meter socket out to the NIPSCO, inside, that's all gotta be replaced. As for any aluminum wire inside your conduit, that's gotta be replaced too. That stuff will eventually melt and break. You know, and then if you got plugs that are damaged, of course, you gotta replace all those. And it's very less, I mean, it's not that expensive to go in and replace all your plugs and your switches and stuff in a house.
When do you have to go back with conduit versus?
Conduit, that's the way to go. I mean, it's a little more expensive that way, but, I mean, it's pretty much maintenance free for years. You know, 20, 30 years, you don't have to mess with it. Except for times that you got the thieves come in and break all your pipes, steal all your copper. There's no getting away from it. Now, if I ever come in and do you guys a service, I usually don't put the weatherhead or the wire back in the mast until you guys call NIPSCO and say, hey, it's coming out this day, come out and put it in. I've done that for Joe, I believe, because he does a lot of properties in Gary, and they'll rip you off in a heartbeat. GFIs, make sure your GFIs are all tripping. If you get that little plug tester with the little button, if they don't reset, then there's definitely problems with those.
Is there only $6 to buy them too for, I mean, just have one in your car with you or whatever?
Because, you know, most home inspections will fail that. I mean, if it doesn't, I just went to a job and someone hit the reset and it didn't reset, but the power, it reset the GFI, but the power is still live in the GFI. Well, they had their load and their line reversed. So it was still active, all the reset were still active. Any other questions? You guys got any other questions or problems?
If you have a house that's a two-story, you have access to the attic and the basement, you need to rewire it with Romex. Can you fish it through the walls?
Most of the time you can, depends on your roof. Your roof line. If you can't crawl back there to get drilled down there, you usually have to do some kind of damage on your walls to get a drill going up there. So you'll have some repairs around that. There's no way of getting around it. But yeah, most of the times it's not that hard.
Is there any way you could ballpark a price to rewire a house, typical two-story, 700 square feet up?
Usually, I mean, I just price one, usually, with the wire and stuff, it's usually, I can usually get each level done for about $1,000. That's with materials usually, if it's Romex. But if it's like, I mean, if you got a bunch of that BX in the wall, it's gotta be all replaced and all that. I mean, if it's, it all depends. I mean, it all depends if the walls are bare, it's a lot, I mean, it could be a lot cheaper for you. If it's drywall free. Yeah. But it's, I mean, you can get I'm sure you can get a good drywall crew to come in and fix all those holes cheaper than it is to.
Why would you rewire it just because it's in Romex? Is there another issue?
No, with Romex. If it's
Oh, you
the
wanna,
old-
okay.
Old nothing tube or the, what do they call them, insulated wire?
Okay.
That looks like the old irons.
It's,
Yeah.
it's BX it's with BX metal. It's just spiral. Yeah, and it's got the 2 wires in there with no ground. That's another question. I mean, if you guys got a house that you guys are trying to pass this inspection and you got 2 wires, you can get away with putting a two-prong plug where need be, and the inspectors will pass that. It's got to be done correctly. Some guys will do that cheater, put the ground around and tie it to your neutral, and it will pass the home inspection test. You know, a lot of these guys don't open. You guys don't open the boxes to look at inside of the.
As an appraiser, no, but the home inspectors, if they know what they're doing, yeah, I just had one fail, a Crown Point house where they jumped it and he nailed them on that.
Catch them, you know.
Because your cheap testers will tell you it's satisfactory, but a proper tester will tell you there's a false ground in there and all that.
Any other questions?
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about Romex? You know, Romex. Because see, I've seen some new homes, and I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I didn't like it. I like the, the pipe where you can fish the wire out. We have a problem in the future.
If somebody
and
drills a
you're trying to
hole,
get through the rock, you're going to have to tear this rock
if
off.
someone drills and hangs a picture and scores your Romex, then you're screwed. You know, pretty much. You gotta. That's a fire waiting to happen too.
Because is there a code between Lake County and Porter County?
You know what? I know, like Hammond, for example. You know, they don't like using Romex, but they'll let you. But you have to run it neat in a professional manner. If it's all sloppy, twisted, and ran, they don't like. They'll make you tear it out and redo it.
But I'm as an electrician yourself, professionally. Your professional opinion, don't you think it's better to run with pipe?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Okay, because I'm crazy. It's all right from spot here to spot here, but I don't like it in between the wall because we have a problem between fishing.
Okay, building materials, it depends on what your I mean, if you're gonna go, because conduit has raised their price. I mean, it's like almost over $2 a stick now, or I don't know. It's over almost $2 a stick. It used to be 90 cents, 80 cents a stick when I was about 10 years ago. Now everything's raised up. So. But it's more expensive, but it's the best way to go and do conduit.
They have plastic ones too, at Menards. They have
Don't PVC.
Yeah,
That's a great.
like, don't they have that?
The great
I mean,
yeah, but you know what? Generally, no. I've never seen anybody run a whole house in PVC.
No.
Externally.
I've
for like
never
exterior,
seen
like
it.
a central air unit feed or something like that.
But I've seen people run that Smurf tube, which that stuff is garbage. Any of you guys run that Smurf tube, or have a house with that blue spiral Smurf tube? It looks like.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it's called. And that stuff is, man, that is hard to deal with. Any other questions?
Any trends in, updated houses, like LED lights or can lights all over the place, things like that?
This is my big thing now, I love LED lights. LED lights, you can buy a bulb, it's 2.5 watts, a bulb. You can do your whole, all these cans right here, you can burn them like, no, you better get some LED. You'll be burning like, maybe 2 light bulbs, 2 or 3 light bulbs for this whole room. Think about it.
And what's the cost comparison?
Oh, well, then this is a different story. 40 to 50 dollars. We just got a bunch of LEDs for that one customer out there, Yelby Poem in Maryville. She bought all LED for her. They're 40, I think they're 40, almost 40 or $50 a light bulb. But they're coming,
for free, I'll put them in.
they're coming down. They're coming down in price, but.
The technology just isn't there yet.
But, man, her whole basement was burning like 1 light bulb. She had like 10 cans.
Now the fluorescent in it, you know, I'm talking about the brightness.
You talking about, oh, they're brighter than the consolidated, you know, the spiral bulbs, the CF bulbs. You know, I don't care for those.
Some of the LEDs though I don't like, they have like a bluish cast to it.
Sometimes on the dimmer, they'll flicker too.
Like a daylight.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's flaws and everything, but sometimes on some of the dimmers, it'll mess with the LEDs a little bit. It'll start to do a little, you'll see it every now and then, it'll start to flicker. But
I got a question on those weather heads. How important is it to change it out? If you buy a house and it's got the old style, what does it cost and how important is it?
well, if it's damaged, is that what you're talking
No,
about?
if you don't have a weather head, you just have the wires running up on a little insulator and you don't have the weather.
You gotta have the weather, I mean, you gotta have a weather head.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of houses out there that don't have it. You can go buy a house there.
Yeah, well, you definitely wanna be able to change that and make sure there's a weather head on every house. Because the water will come back down into your house, through your panel. And then you'll get mold and all that good stuff.
And what does it cost for a weather head, the parts and labor?
Usually, weatherheads run you about $10, you know, for something to come out, minimally, you know, minimum charge for just something like that, you're still looking at $30, $40, you know, to come up there and change it out. You know.
So this is a general question, you guys that do this all the time. When you buy a house, it's a loaded question, do you get an electrician and plumber out there right away? That's, to me, that's, you know, you're looking at the bones of the house, that'd be the first thing you want to do is get those guys out.
You mean inspect them or after you purchase it?
You know, get someone, if you can inspect them enough where you feel confident that you know what work needs to be done, but don't you want to get an electrician and plumber out there?
When I was doing all the time, it's the first thing I do is get them both out there. So I get everything roughed in and proceed to pick out my kitchens and, you
It's
know.
kind of good practice to have.
Yeah, because most of the time, if you get an electrician.
Yeah, what I was questioning what was before.
You'll be able to get an electrician out there and say, okay, you need this, and this fixed. And then you'll be able to call the city without even getting those permits pulled. And, you know, they'll turn you on if the stuff is correct. But, you know, like I said, you know, that'll save you money right there.
Did that many a time.
That's common practice. I mean, if you get a guy out there that's, you know, that you can trust, he'll tell you straight up what you need to get on to get that power turned on. They'll usually turn you on if everything's correct. But if you got one thing wrong, then you're talking. They got you.
Permit, inspections and hassles.
And these guys are gonna get you. You know? They're out to make that big buck, so especially in here.
Dave, what do you see about light fixtures as far as buying, you know, there's a lot of stuff from China now, probably everything's from China, but...
All the art stuff from China?
Most of it.
Oh, shoot.
It gets harder and harder to find things made in the United States.
You know, I do have problems with some certain products. GE bath fans. Some of their housings are garbage. Like just the simple ones, they're garbage. You know, you try to knock that knockout out, and all of a sudden the whole wall collapses. I tell them, I was like, really? I mean, it's just, you know, the stamp press doesn't punch it out all the way, and then you try to knock it out, and it just bends it all to heck.
So is it standard practice now to put exhaust fans in bathrooms and.
Yeah,
good
most of the
practice.
time, because you know why? Because your tenants won't turn it on. And then all of a sudden, then you got mold and you got all that water film on your, you know, the smoke film on your steam, steam, it just creates a lot of problems, moisture. So if you have a window in your bathroom, you just, go ahead and put another bathroom in there just to cover your butt, you know.
What's the best way of venting it out? I don't know if that's your problem, but.
Vent it up, you can go straight up to the roof and then put a roof vent on there.
Okay.
But you never want to just vent it into the attic because you'll get steam up there and mold. And then mold will continue, you know, will grow up there and then you won't even know it and your kids are getting sick and all that good stuff. And if it's in a rental, then your liabilities are just shooting up the head, you know. You get a family sick because you did it wrong. They're gonna come in the BEs. Can you do it with BEs or the same thing? You don't want to do that unless you directly go into a second vent.
So then if you got the hooded vents, you can put into the roof really easily. Or if you've got kind of ridge vents, you can actually got them up towards that too to feel kind of quickly.
But you want to seal it, make sure you seal it all the way up so it's not coming back.
Any other questions on electrical, you guys?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
If you got a house and the walls are, for whatever reason, you want to put drywall up over, so now you got your electrical box that's gonna be set back and you're just putting 1/4 inch drywall to redo.
You can go 1/4 inch, that's as much as you can go, but generally speaking, you can't go more than 1/4 inch. You can't have more than a 1/4 inch gap between the box and the.
Okay, so that's acceptable? You can
1/4
still
inch.
put your cover plate over?
Yes, not more than 1/4 inch.
Okay, because what I'm finding is those older boxes, I know they make like mud rings and things you could put on, but those generally don't fit the older style boxes on an older house, so.
Oh, yeah, you'll have to replace the whole box.
Yeah, so I mean, you don't want to tear the
You don't
wall
want to
out
do that
to do
either,
that,
yeah.
so, you know.
They do have little insert rings that you can put over the top of that.
Okay.
They sell them in Menards, I've seen them in Menards.
I just don't know if I've
They're
seen them.
extended, they're like a little piece of metal and they're brakes, so you can actually unfold it and put it over the wires and slide it into the wall. They're only single gang, you can't buy those with double gang, I haven't seen them. Unless you can twist and make a double gang. Put two next to each other. But yeah, they make those. That's for anything over a 1/4 inch.
Okay.
All right, so, any other questions on electrical? Twice, okay. What do you think? You want me to show you some pictures, entertain you for a little bit, and we can talk about interior finishes, and then we'll have like Gary and Larry talk about kind of what they recommend and, you know, different options. You want to do that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
The bear's on.
I really don't care. All right, pretty nice house, huh? Hey, John, how old is that house?
This one was built in the 50s.
What'd you guys do there? You got paneling?
Yeah, I mean, this room's a family room-like area with nice plank wood on the walls. Biggest issue on this room is the old wood parquet flooring, which again, as a flip or a stay-in type situation, you know, there's not a whole lot you can do with that wood parquet, you know, so.
Well, I think one of the things you got to keep in mind, Mike, everybody in this, not everybody, but there's a lot of different avenues to take. So we have a couple flippers in here, we got people that are renters, you know. And I guess what I'm saying is anytime we look at these pictures, or you look at a house, you have to know where you're going. You have to know, are you selling it? If you can't sell it, are you keep it? Where's the neighborhood going? What's my true, what can I get for rent? What is your exit plans? And have more than one, because that was going to make your decisions. I've seen way too many people get in there and they spend a little more money than they want. You know, you did on your last house. You said that yourself. So you can look at it and try to make decisions, but you got to know your end result. And I would have a B plan to that end result. And you know, if you can't flip it, what are you gonna do with it if you got too much money in it? So a lot of your decisions will be made based on your neighborhood, your A plan and your B plan, and where you think things are headed. So there's really gonna be no cut and dry answers on most of this stuff. It's gonna be more individual. Keep that in mind as we're discussing these things, because we all have different outlooks and different goals with what we do.
Okay, I have a question for you then. Looking at this house, my first instinct would be to paint the paneling, to brighten up the place. But if you go.
It is a little dark in there, but, you know,
But if you flip it, is the homeowner gonna want real wood, not painted? But the renter, you want it to be an open.
this is a $200,000 house, so this isn't a typical, you know, fix and flip type situation, actually.
So what would you do with it?
This house I would leave it, because it's got character, you know. The floor though is, I would leave the walls and change the floor.
Pencil straight that paneling is. If that paneling's warped, if it's got a lot of gouges in it from pets, if it's, Murphy's oil soap and a little bit of elbow grease can go a long way on really nice paneling, nice woodwork. So, and at the age of 50, 1950s, at 60 years old, that's probably hitting the time where people are kind of thinking, hey, it made 60 years, I want to keep it. You know, if that was 1990s paneling, they say, oh, it's outdated, it's old school. So, a lot of that probably help with your decision too.
And as far as the,
$200,000 house in northwest Indiana, you know, that's on the high end of a starter home.
Right.
You know, so, and, you know, if you're a flipper, they want turnkey. They do not want to have to do a darn thing when they walk into that house, and they'll see that house, and me as a flipper, I would see that house, and I'd be like, you know, I did keep a house that had some parquet. It was really charming. It was, you know, the 4x4 square when you walk in the door, and then it went onto wood. But if it's a whole room and it's on your first floor, I would, you know, think of putting something over it, because it's got to be turnkey. They've got to walk in. It's got to be a wow value. You look at that room, you don't walk in and say, wow, this is great. And that's what you got to think about. But that's my thought process as I flip.
Lighting your carpet.
well, the other thing is you can just upgrade the electric, put higher intensity lights in there, change the light fixtures.
But that's still not going to be a wow value. You're not going to walk in and go, wow, that's an awesome light fixture.
You go in there and
It's a
go,
whole
wow.
room.
Okay.
What would you think should be done to these walls if this was yours?
Well, actually, I have one that one I was just telling you about in Griffith that I brought to, mention to everybody. And it's a really pretty, it's got more of like a wainscoting. So I put great colors in there, it had a gorgeous floor. And, then it changes it. But for the most part, if it's any kind of, if it's not really high-end wood, then I would remove it because that's just inexpensive paneling, or I would paint it,
So when you said wainscoting, it's only 30 inches from the floor? What you have now?
No.
Because isn't that like just, wainscoting isn't just the bottom half of a room, it's 30 inches?
Oh, yeah, you know what parts of the house is just the bottom.
Not the whole thing, so it's not so dark.
Right.
You might want to put a mantle that lightens up, still have the dark wood wall, but lighten it up with a different kind of mantle or something. You could accessorize and make it lighter in there.
It's really missing is a moose head.
Oh, wow.
Big fish over there. Not the one we're looking for.
But you really think about that last one, and when you're looking at it, if you're flipping it or not, having your exits ready, which is always key, is, putting, I would know right from the beginning, okay, I'm changing the floor, so I'm gonna have that price incorporated into the bottom line of my offer, so it's not gonna get eaten up somewhere else. I automatically know I've gotta change that floor, because it's got to have a wow value when you walk in the door of something. Maybe it's maybe you did just shine up the walls. Or if that's a fireplace, maybe you do something amazing. around the fireplace, and then you
Put
don't
a couple
even-
can lights up there, access them down onto the panel.
Yeah, it's not paneling, it's like 4-inch wide planking, you know, built this way in beautiful condition. I mean, yeah.
All right, you guys, let's move on, all right? No, wait a minute, let's go back to this one, this one's great. You put your menu up there?
Now, this is right inside the front door. They painted the wall with chalkboard paint. And they list everything in the house, right, like that as you walk in. And I don't know if it was always there or not, or if they did it specifically to put the house on the market. But yeah, it's pretty neat. I mean, you got one wall to repaint, so. And that shows the parquet floor a little better there. It's the old 4-inch parquet. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta do something with that floor, it's too dark in that room.
Did you see that?
Chalkboard things.
Original cabinets, but in good shape. Again, I mean, this is a $200,000 house that they put new appliances in, but dated countertops, dated cabinets.
Well, if this was a rental, you know, you might consider painting the cabinets or just keep everything the way it is.
You said the cabinets were in good shape though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There was a rental.
If it's a rental, yeah.
A change of floor.
How about you, in a place like this, a lot of times if the cabinets are in really great shape, you know, you just put on contemporary handles, it's a really easy fix. You put on, you know, the brushed nickel, and then you accent it, you've got the brushed nickel, you maybe put, I'm really into faucets, because let me tell you, you walk into a kitchen, and I would change those countertops too, but you put in a $300 faucet that's got the big head, I mean, people just like, ooh, they just love that. And you put on handles on all the cabinets, changes it a lot. And is this what, so are these pre or post?
For sale.
For sale, as they were 2 days ago.
For sale.
For sale, okay, I didn't know like this was finished and saying, this is what I did.
I don't think they've done it in the last 2 days.
That's what John just finished one. That was good. No, it took him
20 years.
It took him that long. He started in the 70s.
Now, this is a house that's just on the market now. Mike needed some photos, so I just took some interior photos for him, so.
All right, black appliances.
Yeah.
I saw a story yesterday, Whirlpool's coming out with a new line, it's, they're getting away from stainless steel, the new thing is a new sleek white with all stainless steel features too, you know, stainless steel handles and trim, but that's supposedly the new thing, so you're not gonna see a lot of stainless steel out there, supposedly.
Yeah, they're saying stainless is kind of dead, been out for 15 years or so, and the new trend is away from stainless.
White with, you know, black or backlights and, you know, like I said, stainless steel handles and trim, things like that. It was on Yahoo yesterday. If you were renting this, keep the appliances. If you were selling it, maybe put new appliances in it, depending on the price point of the house. And
Well, these are new. This seller has replaced all these, with these appliances have not been used. So, I mean, they're brand new, that's what they did to this house, to sell them.
How big was the house?
It's about a 2,000 square foot ranch in the Valpo area.
Maybe white cabinets, something.
And again, dated fireplace, you put, you know, marble, ceramic, whatever to modernize that face and hearth, changes it entirely.
Yep. That's well.
Close up of the chalkboard.
Paint that fireplace chalkboard black.
Yeah.
And along with the floor.
Now, the bathrooms, again, original, the ceramic tile looks like it was put in last year. Unbelievable how it's withheld and looks. Yeah, the one bath is yellow, the other bath is blue. So you got different colors, but we've got a guy in the club that can spray and, you know, change the colors easily on, say, ceramic tile.
I have a question on that. I don't know if you know, when he changes those colors, let's say he does the tile, can he give us a two-tone color to that?
No, it's gonna cover.
It's all gonna be just one
lines in the tile.
No, I mean, can he give like do a white with maybe an ivory mist in it or something to make it look more?
So
he does the tile too?
Yeah, I have guys I used to refinish tunnels.
Yeah, Blaine does the walls, all that with his.
I didn't know that he did the tile.
Now, this is the
Gotta be good
hallway,
condition, but-
and it's
you know,
not
gotta be good
regular wallpaper, it's called grass cloth. Popular 30, 40 years ago. To modernize this, I would pull this out. You know, I mean, it's, but it, just to show you, you know, what was popular years back.
The white
Fan, carpeting.
Yep, dated carpet.
White blade with the gold accent.
Yeah, just an unfinished basement.
What do you guys do when you fix houses as far as basements? You paint the floors, paint the walls, clean them up?
That's what I did, you know.
You're renting, right?
Like something like this.
If you're renting?
I paint the walls white and I
operate
the
the
entire
wall.
basement. I paint the walls white and the floor gray.
If you're renting?
And I would do that if I was selling too.
But you're in Gary.
Say, what if you go, if you're selling, a lot of people wonder what you're trying to hide.
It does.
By painting the floor?
By painting everything all brand new, brings up a lot of questions.
Looks good.
What did you
Once
say?
you really question that basement, like I'd be wondering, okay, so people live there for how long, and they never finish the basement, I'd be really checking the corners, like, why wouldn't they finish that basement?
They have 2,000 square foot on the main level, and never really felt the need to do that. It has a built-in garage on one of it, so it's not a, basement's 1,500 square foot.
All right, is this that other house, Joe?
Yeah, that's the other one that we looked at yesterday, Mike. This is the bylaw.
What'd you do with that?
Let me out.
All right, here's a good question, Larry. Yes, what are my options for doors?
People now want the 6-panel door. They're inexpensive. For about $60, you can get a pre-hung 6-panel door that's white. People are getting away from a lot of the wood tones. We were talking about the kitchen cabinets. We sell very little oak cabinetry anymore. People want a modern, sleek look. Generation X does not, as we mentioned, they want to walk in and have everything done. They have no vision of doing things themselves, so. But for $60, you can change the door out and have a nice.
But they're cheaper than that at Menards.
Yeah.
We're talking,
On sale, $49.
$40.
We're talking plastic ones or fine?
Oh, I don't know what the material is. It's a, yeah, it's a composite.
Like a
It's,
prem door?
Yeah.
Just like a masonite.
Masonite.
Those doors are always on special.
In fact, if you want to see masonite doors down the hallway, 6-panel doors, those are all masonite doors. I used them all over this complex. They're very, very nice doors. They're durable, hold up. I love them.
This door is a flush birch, which is extremely, I know you guys don't carry them anymore. They're tough. If you got one flush birch, it's a hassle to find them even anymore. I've done them, but you know.
1966 birch doors.
What's the standard for trim now? What do you guys recommend, like floor trim, baseboard trim, and
As far as oak or
colonial, ranch casing, white?
usually colonial. You know, just so it doesn't cost any difference, it just looks nice.
When you go with the higher profile versus?
Oh, yeah, 3 3/4, 4 1/4.
Okay.
What's that called?
Which, the base? Baseboard?
Colonial?
Baseboard?
It's colonial?
Yeah, it's actually, Dave Bergeron, this is colonial trim. Just got like this stuff through.
What's this stuff run about a linear foot?
Taller, the higher, 4 1/4 is probably about 220. Larry?
It's quite a bit of a price jump between standard, but again, the newer buyer wants the bigger bases and stuff, so.
And you don't have to go with wood. I bought the MDF from Menards just last week on a Hammond house. I mean, if it's gonna be painted, MDF isn't a bad way to go, depending on price range of the house.
Actually found a supplier up out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, that you could actually get MDF casing, 12-foot sticks for $2.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a little bit of a drive, but you can get a whole
Yeah, if you're
house.
gonna do a whole house,
Yeah,
it's worth
whole
traveling.
house full of trim, doors, base, everything. It was under $150 out of Grand Rapids.
You know the
Yeah,
name
but
of
it's all the
it?
MDF. I got it at Cards on my desk. But like I said, it was an hour-and-a-half drive, but it was well worth it.
It's a process, like amazing.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, I mean, you definitely, if you're doing a house, if you're doing a room, no, hell no. Yeah, unless you're going to watch a football game or something up there.
Yeah, this is a bi-level in Valpo that's extremely rough, built in '97, but is totally abused. It is a foreclosure, just 50 grand rehab on this one.
What's that, Valpo you said?
Yeah.
Was that over there by Robin, or that one subdivision over by the Crooked Bridge? Or that-
They put laminate floor in the dining room and living room that poorly put in. They pulled out the ventless fireplace that was in the living room. Cabinets, missing doors, fronts, so I mean, it's a total gut job on the kitchen with counters, cabinets, flooring, drywall repairs.
Okay, here's a question for Larry and Gary. What are our options for, I know you guys have some pretty decent cabinets there. Are there like 3 price points for cabinets?
Yeah, we always have a good, better, best, and I'm surprised how many of the flippers will go for an unfinished cabinet and do all the staining. You're actually better to, it's cheaper actually, time-wise and stuff, to step up and get a pre-finished cabinet. We offer service. If you bring in the size of the walls measurements, they'll do a configuration for you in figuring out what a good layout is. You have to be careful, you know, when you're, not in this particular picture, but if you're opening an oven door, how close it is to a refrigerator door opening, those kind of things.
Is there a place out there that matches doors? I bought a foreclosure and I had 3/4 of the cabinets were open. I'm missing a couple cabinets, so it would be best to get the finished product and then get a stain match. Where do you get the doors? Where can you get the doors?
Well, we sell doors. I don't know if we would have your particular pattern, but there's several patterns in our aisles that they sell just the door. And then the paint department can help you do a color match on your stain.
There's a cabinet maker in Lowell that probably can match. He's got a missing door or two. He probably can get, you gotta pay for his services, but at least you say you replace them all.
What do you think? I mean, will you just do the doors?
Yeah.
So what do you think the average cost would be on a door?
How many cabinets you got?
I'm guessing about 4 cabinets. I'd
So
say
how many door faces you got? Oh,
like 10 or 10.
it'd be probably cheaper and faster just get the whole.
Yep, replace them all.
Just get them unfinished and just do them yourself. And that way you know the pattern
And
match.
my problem is the cabinets are the tall ones.
36s?
And I'll tell you a little, something I ran into once in my own home. Bought a new refrigerator, and the new refrigerators are quite a bit taller than the old refrigerators. and it fit under an upper cabinet, and I had to take the upper cabinet off, and I took it down to that cabinet maker. He had to cut this about 4 inches off the bottom of the cabinet and redo it, so the refrigerator would fit. So if you're gonna buy new appliances, you gotta make sure you measure that height under that upper cabinet.
What's our options as far as countertops? We got.
You just put one higher. To the far upper, far right.
Push it up the wall, it looks fine.
The taller
You actually have about 2.5 inches if you gotta pull one down to recut them, because you can't cut top and bottom without damaging the cabinet. Been in a situation like oops. Bring me back.
Yeah, this dryer vent, Mike and I were looking at it last night, like, what the heck did they do here? This is,
That's for a dryer?
yeah.
That looks totally wow.
They're adding 190.
I don't know if you guys have anything else, any trends, current trends, you know, people are moving towards new houses and fixing, flipping, as far as, wow factors or anything like that. Anything else you want to talk about? Basic, neutral colors,
Still always, like, you know, again, your lighter colors are always still better. Faster, warmer, you know, faster turnaround, you know, warmer, inviting.
And what about cabinets, kitchen cabinets?
I still do a ton of wood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still do a lot of, refurbs with all wood, not.
ballpark figure, $100 a box for cabinets?
No, they're probably a little bit more than that. For like a good mid-range. Actually found a place locally too that'll do them, and they're probably right around 110, 115 on average. Sink bases for about $80.
You know, people always hear like, you know, kitchens, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. You know, buy the cabinets for less than $2,000, $1,500, $2,000.
There's a hell of a difference in that cabinet quality too.
Yeah.
I mean, by all means. You got the self-closing, you know, the clear with the speed sensitive drawer push. I mean, it doesn't matter if you slam that thing, it'll just gradually stop. You know, that's probably $30, $40 hardware per drawer. So, I mean, you get what you pay for on cabinets.
Okay.
How about
Yeah, but I mean, there's a place I found in Hobart that was really reasonable, and turnaround is probably about 4 to 6 days for all cabinets. Pre-finished. HLC, it's right on Ridge Road.
Hobart Lumber?
Yep.
All they sell is Indians, they sell all that hardware.
They may, if not, Crown Countertop.
Okay. You guys got any other thing you want, any other questions, anything you guys want to say? Trying to wrap this up. Okay, if there's nothing else, I want to leave too. Now, I want to thank everybody. Why don't we give these guys a round of applause for coming up? I suggest you talk to these guys, get their business card from them, you know, give them the opportunity to bid on your projects, support them. They came here to spend their time with you, so, you know, it's reciprocal. And appreciate you guys coming in tonight.
Thank you. See you next month.
Next month, Round Woodward coming. There was a chance for a plug there. There was a chance for a plug.
Email address? Monroe? Yes. Should be near the water. Robert, 2331. Let you know so you don't get a kickback. 233. And by mail. I had a Gmail account and Yahoo by mail. But this is But I mean, it's the same service. It's just it's a different hashtag. I mean, I check that every 2 hours. Yeah, I'll look at it. I'll check it, in a week or so to see if you're out. But otherwise, I'll just keep looking back.
So we just say
He's just trying I don't know if somebody was noticing one of
My wife works in a school, kids go to school, there's no money stuff, so my mom says, well, shop, it's strong. Never has to be that strong. She actually went in and she took our kid there. They were at a different time, they were starting, so she was running back and forth. She started something, and they keep trying to go, actually, that's one of my life. Yeah, I got it. Terrible, awkward, social, I'm still working on this. I do have some on the well, they can't. All the kids don't have it. I get it covered right at the order launch. It's like see what's come out. Makes me mad. The one I just put on. Well, it's a start, you know, because the other one's supplements it. So, one each one, so I haven't really done enough. Yeah, they're hitting kids. So I will sit there and probably Christmas Day, kids will walk to school, naturally try to get it out. How the kids' stories are. Five together. Yeah, exactly. You know. So, I don't know if pictures it all. The other two are pretty nice. Number one on there. The other one.
No one else is. Are you serious? You like it?
Yeah, that's a messed up town,
North of the south one. Went down.
What I did was always.
Great.
Mine in my house, but I don't do that.
You know, that's why I really
Well, one of these things, when I beat the hell of it, it's gonna have a water.
I know, I'm just saying, I'm not gonna get out of
I mean, I went concrete.